Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. So in this interview, we actually have Joshua Daniel George, and it's a funny
Hey,
story. Joshua back in 2018 was one of my first mentors when I started off in the agency space, and it's been 4 years, and we're on the interview calls. It's like a full 360 moment for me. So yeah, Joshua, welcome. How are you doing? How's everything going? Just a little
yeah,
introduction.
man, all good. Obviously, first of all, thanks for having me on the channel. And it's crazy because before we started recording, we were actually discussing that like how crazy it is that 4 years ago, like you were also my first student,
Yeah,
and then I don't like the word mentor, but yeah, obviously I was then your first coach, so it's
yeah.
crazy to see how far you've come, and yeah, it's crazy that now everything's come full circle.
Yeah. I remember when we first started off, I was struggling with my offer, etc. And actually, at that time, Joshua Daniel and Brad Riley were working together on the agency, and they hired me to do the outsourcing for the agency, and that's how my white label agency was actually born because they said you have the skill level, and people don't have understanding of the agency space as well as you do. So if you're white labeling for the agency owners, it's a no-brainer for them, and this way you don't have to do a lot of close calls because I don't like sales calls. To date, I don't like them, so this
Yeah.
is one of the reasons that I actually got into the white label agency space as well.
That's crazy, man. I didn't actually know that. I didn't know that that's what kicked it all off.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
yeah, man, at the time, my business partner was Bradley Riley,
yeah.
and the funny thing it was we're both the exact same kind of person. So both Bradley and I don't like sales calls. We don't really like outreach,
Yeah.
which is ultimately also the reason why we ended up going our separate ways. Because we were too much alike, and
Hmm.
we actually needed someone that was the opposite to
Yeah.
do the stuff that we're actually not good at.
Yeah.
So that also is now like the way I've structured my agency
Hmm.
is outreach is automated slash outsourced. So we have appointment setters in place. We run our own Facebook ads as well. And of course, we're now working together with you for the email outreach.
Yeah.
So that is sort of automated and outsourced. And then I've got a sales guy who does all the selling for me. He takes the calls,
Hmm.
and he's very good at it as well. And then only when the client actually becomes a client do I sort of come into play, and that is when I start doing all the fulfillment. So I run all the ads, set up all the campaigns, and make sure that the client gets results.
Yeah, that's interesting to see because in the space, what we've never seen is the agency owner actually delivering the results while somebody else takes the sales calls. Because in a normal scenario, it's always that you are the face of the agency, and then there's a media buyer or a team in the back and actually delivering results. So your personality being not a sales guy or being more of a back end guy is what made you switch to that. Didn't you ever feel that okay, I'm not the face of it? Maybe whoever's closing, I think it was Elliot, if I'm not wrong, who
Yeah, Elliot.
yeah, I still remember the names. That's crazy. But yeah, so whoever closes for you, did you ever have that okay, maybe they become the face of the agency, or did that thought never come to you? Because it's something that I've come across for the first time from an agency owner.
Yeah. So there are actually clients that think Elliot owns the business,
Yeah.
and it's funny because when the client becomes a client, from that point onwards, if there's an update call with an existing client, we'll both take it.
Okay.
Elliot, because he was the previous point of contact, so
Yeah.
it's not just so they don't get the feeling that they're being passed on to someone else.
Yeah.
And me, obviously, because I run the ads. So
Hmm.
it's we sort of tag team the client update calls. And then sometimes the client themselves will bring on other team members. And there
Hmm.
was a situation where our clients then introduced us, so both me and Elliot, to the rest of the team. And it
Okay.
was like, okay, guys, so this is Elliot. He owns Brand Paneer, and this is his friend Josh. And
Yeah.
I was like, dude, it's
Yeah.
my business. But at the end of the day, I don't really care what the client thinks or who the client thinks is the face of the company.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, all I focus on is getting the client results because the way we've now structured the business is it's partly performance based.
Okay.
So we have the set retainer just like everyone else, but we also take either a percentage of ad spend with a guarantee, like a ROAS guarantee, or a percentage of page conversion value. So basically, the money that is generated through the ad account.
Yeah.
So that's my focus at the moment, just making sure that they get the best results possible because the better their results, the more money I make. And whether or not they think I'm the face of the company or the media buyer, I don't really care.
Yeah, no, that's a great thought because I feel ego gets a lot in the way of a lot of people who are running the agency as they want to be call the CEO and have that in the bio of the Instagram. It's just, it's become something that's become very common. So it's great to see how, you've been running this and you have that mindset about things not being as gray, as black and white, but also in the gray area of, who's the agency owner and who's not. So if you guys don't know, Joshua also obviously has a YouTube channel. So interestingly, a few days back, I was watching one of your videos wherein you were out on a trip and you were looking at Facebook ad, like, accounts, and you were, going through troubleshooting accounts. So I saw
Oh
you,
yeah.
I saw you did like 15 or 20 like handling 15 or 20 clients. So have you ever reached a cap wherein you were like, yeah, I think this is all I can handle because you're on the media buying side? Because I feel we don't get discussed the media buying side a lot because there's always a person doing it, but because you're doing it on your own, do you ever feel that, okay, this is where my peak is at, or this is where a media buyer should stop and you should start looking for somebody else, that there's a cap to Facebook ads? Or do you think that if you have a good, like, system in place, you can run as many ads as you want, basically?
Yeah. So when I look at my accounts, it is sort of that 80-20 principle.
Mm-hmm.
So 80% of my time will be spent on 20% of the accounts.
Yeah.
And quite early on, I identified what kind of clients get the best results and take the least amount of time.
Okay.
Usually those are clients that already have a product market fit. So that means their products already sell either organically or they already have ads that are working. So those clients
Yeah.
are the clients that take the least time for me to scale up or to run the ads. Second of all, if the client has a high profit margin,
Mm-hmm.
that means that the ROAS does not necessarily need to be as high for the client to be profitable. So, for example, if they have a 50% profit margin, that
Mm-hmm.
means that the return on ad spend needs to be at least 2 for them to break even, and that's excluding the retainer, of course.
Yeah.
Which is much easier to achieve than if they have a 10% profit margin and you need to get a 10 ROAS for them to break even. So quite early on, I identified that there are certain type of clients that I can work well with, data-wise. So of course, the type of client, the personality of the client, that's a whole separate story. But purely looking at an ad account and a business, if they have a product market fit, if it's proven, if they have a decent profit margin. So for me, 30% cutoff point. If it's less than 30%, I will not take it on. And the store needs to convert as well, which is something that a lot of media buyers and agencies also forget. You can have the best ads in the world, but if the store doesn't convert, it's going to be extremely difficult to scale up that account. So
Yeah.
those are factors that I look into. And if it ticks all those boxes, then I'll take it on. And that is the exact reason why I do it, is because I'm already managing over 20 accounts.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, and it doesn't even take me that long. It'll take me like 2 hours tops to run through all the accounts.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'll create notes and say, okay, well, today I'm going to set up a new campaign for these guys. I'm going to just do some double checking into this account and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But the main sort of check, the main, sort of the daily routine of looking through the accounts, 2 hours tops. And yeah, it's because I'm very picky with who I work with. And of course, 80 to 90% of the clients that we work with now are all in the meal delivery or meal prep niche.
Perfect.
So what works for one account works
Perfect.
for all accounts most of the time.
Yeah.
And because what we also do, and that is also what we guarantee our clients, is we do not work with competitors in the same state. So
Okay.
if we have a meal prep company from Houston, we will not take on another meal prep company because we'll sort of be competing against ourselves.
Yeah.
But because we do that, all these businesses are in different states. If we copy the same campaign or the same structure or use the same headline, they can't see that, and it will not interfere with the performance of their campaigns.
And means
So
that's always low.
most of the clients in the same niche really helps, and then really being very picky with what type of clients I work with, and that also helps me not hit that cap. And of course, if I have like 20, 30 accounts all in different niches, all different price points, all different parts of their sort of journey, then yeah, it will be quite difficult to maintain all of that. But as of right now, I could probably take on another 10 accounts as long as they're similar.
Yeah.
It's fine with me.
No,
Yeah, it's also interesting what you mentioned there about like, where not a lot of people talk about the media buying side
yeah.
of things. I think it also comes down to who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And like you said, ego will play a role, especially when you're getting things up and running. You see all these success stories on social media.
Yeah.
It's hard not to look at that, right? Like it's very easy to get sucked into all those things. And one of the reasons why I think my agency took longer than it should have to
Mm.
scale up properly
Yeah.
is because of the ego side of things. Like everyone is told to work on the business, not in the business, right?
Yeah.
Which is true to a certain extent,
Of course.
but it should not mean that the results of the client suffer.
Yeah.
So the issue that I had was I did not want to learn about Facebook ads. I did not want to learn about fulfillment, media buying, because I thought, well, I'm the owner. I do not need to know all this stuff. I just need to find someone who does. But
Yeah.
because I did not have that knowledge, when
Mm.
I'm outsourcing it to media buyers, I
Yeah.
do not know what's good and what's bad. So
Yeah.
a media buyer would send me a portfolio of like 100 page likes generated for this client. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. That looks impressive. So yeah, let's start working together. And
Yeah.
of course, it means nothing page like, right?
That's
So after a month, the client would not get results. The client would be disappointed. The client would leave, and then that means I need to go back and find another client to replace it with. And it was just this cycle over and over and over again. And then it got to a point where I thought, okay, if I really want to keep my clients, I
yeah.
need to start, really focusing on the fulfillment side of things. And
Mm.
that is when I sort of went back in the trenches and started teaching myself media buying. I bought courses, mentorship, and so on and so forth to sort of perfect my media buying skills. And then what I realized is that I actually quite enjoyed it. It didn't take as much time as I thought.
Yeah.
That actually getting results for clients brought a lot of fulfillment for myself.
Yeah.
And once you're good at it, it's not actually it doesn't take as much time as you anticipate. And then that is when I started looking at other aspects of the business and think, okay, what can I do to make my sort of agency life more enjoyable? And
Yeah.
like you said, I do not like I'm not good at sales calls. I
Yeah.
just know that I'm much better at the fulfillment side of things.
Yeah.
So that is why I started working together with Elliot because he's extremely good at sales calls.
Yeah.
So we complement each other in that way.
Exactly. No, yeah, 100%. It's funny you talk about retention because I don't know if you guys know, but Joshua also has a course mentorship program, whatever you want to call it
Yeah.
in guru terms, but he's not an average guru. You know, won't see him like advertise it a lot, like a lot of people do in the industry. But lifestyle design mastery, and I'm part of that course. And what is really stuck to me in that course, because I've been through so many courses at this particular time, and is that you've always told everybody about retention versus actually signing on new clients. You've always been high on telling people that if you actually sign on a client, it's much easier to keep that client over a 12-month period versus actually keeping them for 1 month and then going over the journey of outreach, meetings,
100%.
getting set up again and again. And I feel that's become a really big part of LDM to, I see like in the wins channel sector, it's more about who's retaining clients longer, who's getting the best results in the industry for their particular client versus who's getting the biggest bag, who's getting the biggest deal, 5K deal, 7K deal. Of course, that's important as well. But I learned from you this that retention is key. I literally retained a social media management client for 16 months, which is unheard of because social media management is something which is so weird with our One Line Labs agency as well, where we do leads and lines. It's been, people come back for repeat orders again and again, and they always ask me, how do I know you're not reselling me the leads that somebody else already bought? Because I said, because
Yeah,
those leads won't get you results. And if you don't get results, you won't come back to me. So for a $400
exactly.
profit, I'd rather have a $2,000 relationship with you versus a $400 one. And that answer always works with them because it's the truth. It's much easier for them to come to me and then keep on buying leads from me versus actually just getting that. So
100%.
how did you get that mindset into you while other people in the industry were more like, let's sign on, okay, one client in, they don't care about what's going on with that client, they go back into the channel to actually close the second client. So how did you develop that, or was it something that just was in your mind as soon as you started the agency up?
So the challenge that I had at the start was I did not like the sales. The
Yeah.
outreach was something that took a lot of time and effort, and I basically because I did not like it,
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to do it as much.
Yeah.
And of course, when you're losing clients, it means there's more pressure to continue doing that
Yeah.
than the following month because you need to replace those clients if you want to at least maintain the recurring revenue of the agency.
Yeah.
And then once I actually, it sort of came, it sort of all fit together over time, if that makes sense. There wasn't like a real epiphany moment.
Yeah.
When I started focusing on the Facebook ads myself, the fulfillment, the clients were happier and stayed for longer.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I looked back at this was like around COVID time, so like early 2020.
Yeah.
And it was like a 3-4 month period where I did not lose a single client, or it didn't look like any clients were on the verge of leaving. Because
Yeah.
even that was a conversation that I had with Bradley as well.
Yeah.
We'd look at the start of the month and think, okay, well, these guys, like clients 2, 3, and 4, have not left yet,
Yeah.
but we know they are going to leave this month.
Yeah.
So keep that in the back of our mind. We need to also already mentally start replacing them. And like I said, so around early 2020, which is not so long ago, really, there was like a 4 month gap where no clients left and no clients were on the verge of leaving either. Like they were all happy, all content. And like that's when I sort of realized, okay, well, if I don't do any outreach today,
Yeah.
then I've still got those clients because they're getting results. And
Exactly.
that's also when like this like calm, like like just a moment of like peace and tranquility sort of came, because I realized, okay, if I get client results, these clients stay. And like you said before, the longer these clients stay, the more money you make off one client.
Yeah.
So like if you guys ever need an example or like need to motivate yourself to look in that way, if you go on Stripe and you click on your client's profile, you can actually see total earnings from that one client.
Yeah.
And that always inspires. Like sometimes I'll see clients that have been a client of mine for like 18 months or 2 years. And that's when I realized that, oh wow, like even though monthly is maybe only 1,500 or 2,000 a month,
Yeah.
when you look at that like over a 24-month period or 21 month or 18 months, whatever, it's
Yeah.
a lot of money. And that's from one client. Now imagine you get results for all of your clients and you have like 18 or 20 clients like that. It's a lot of money at play. And as long as you're making them more money as well, it's a win-win, and those clients will see no reasons to leave, basically.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think I did not know about the Stripe trick as well, so I'm 100% gonna use that as for
Yeah,
myself.
man, check it out. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, let's just end it off with the how come you stuck over Facebook ads while everybody's doing TikTok, and more about LDM, because I think a lot of people would be confused about, you're an agency owner as well while you're running a training as well. So just cover these two, and I think we should be good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fine, man. Sounds good. Yeah, TikTok has become a big player like in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Like I remember when it first came about, a close friend of mine said, get on TikTok, even if you don't run it as a service, just build your brand on TikTok because it's easier. It'll be easier now than it will be tomorrow.
Yeah.
And yesterday was already easier than it is now. So I tried it for a few days, realized it was a lot of effort to build it, and then just left it. And
Yeah.
then like 6 to 8 months later, I'll check back. That friend of mine that told me to get on TikTok, he had like 240,000 followers on TikTok, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah.
And then he asked him, like, how did you do that? He said, well, that's what I was trying to tell you. It's so easy, or it was that easy back then to build up a big following because there was not a lot of people on the account. And the way TikTok obviously works with the algorithm, it will not only show you content of people you follow, but
Yeah.
also people that the algorithm thinks you will like as well.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get a lot of exposure outside of your current sort of followers list. But yeah, like I said, I just didn't listen.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like the service,
Yeah.
I always stuck with Facebook because I noticed right away a lot of people were jumping on the TikTok bandwagon,
Yeah.
especially like coaches and course creators, etc. Started saying, Facebook ads are dead. Get a TikTok agency and stuff like that. So at that point, I was like, okay, I can either follow along
Yeah.
or I can just double down on what I already know that works.
That,
And what I've actually noticed is less and less people are now in the Facebook ad space, or at least doing it well. I
yeah.
think there are a lot of Facebook ad agency owners still trying it, but I think there are only a handful of people that are actually getting very good results for their clients. So it sort of almost made it easier for me to just stick to what I was already doing because it was less crowded. The hype of SMMA in like the sort of first structure where you run Facebook ads has now moved to TikTok. And around this time as well, you had iOS 14, which was the privacy update, which made it difficult or more difficult to track results and data. You had NFTs. COVID was, obviously still there. What
Yeah.
else? There was like a lot of other things that were like shiny objects. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, if I just focus on Facebook, just become even better at that again,
Exactly.
then it's just less competition for me.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the,
Yeah, it's been
sorry,
crazy.
go on.
It's been crazy with like, I think like how I tell everybody who's working with me nowadays is like Facebook has become, sorry, TikTok has become what Facebook was in 2016. Like, when SMM just started off with Ty Lopez and everybody was like local lead
Yeah,
generators,
yeah,
mortgage brokers, etc., etc. And now the space has actually become so much more emptier that people are actually looking for Facebook ads, but they're not finding any because everybody's trying to sell them on UGC or like, TikTok, etc., etc. While the Facebook ad market has started to open up with COVID, minimalized down as much as it's now. So people are looking for local lead gen ads as well. It's starting to
yeah, man.
rise back up while TikTok is like, started to get more and more, people just jumping on it for the sake of it, charging multiple thousand retainers because nobody knows the actual pricing at where TikTok should be priced at because it's such a new service. And so it's great to see how you're still on the same market and just, getting more capitalized in it and getting more market share for your particular niche while other people are running after, like you said, a shiny syndrome that may be here 5 years later, but may not be here 5 years later as well. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think TikTok is here to stay.
Yeah.
And I think over time, like the media buy-in side of TikTok will also be more established.
Yeah.
But for me right now, I just want to double down on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then the sort of secondary offer that we offer our clients is conversion rate optimization. So
Okay.
we'll also help with the back end, the funnel, the website, etc., to make sure that, okay, when we're running the best ads, the
Yeah.
stores also convert as highly as possible so we get more sales for the clients.
Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, let's talk about lifestyle design mastery and we can end this off.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. So alongside the agency, I also have it's two coaching programs essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Lifestyle design is built around helping people live life on their own terms.
Yeah.
And the vehicle that I obviously suggest is a social media marketing agency
Mm-hmm.
because of how hands off it can be if you set it up correctly.
Yeah.
Whether you're on the front end where you do the sales and have a team that do the fulfillment, or vice versa, or none of the above, where you just own the business and everything else is outsourced.
Yeah.
However way you want to structure it can be dependent on how you want to live life.
Perfect.
If you actually like building an agency, then by all means do so. If you'd
Mm-hmm.
rather be the owner and not do that much, then obviously you will need to build a structure and build a team. But that is also an option.
Exactly.
The barrier to entry for SMMA in general is extremely low. You don't need upfront capital. You don't need to buy stock or anything like that. All you need to do is just reach out to businesses and offer the service. Of course, the more you do it, the
Yeah.
more results you've got for previous clients, the easier it is to get new clients, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a snowball effect. It will always start off slow. The gurus that tell you that it's quick and easy, it's not the case. You will need to put in work. But I do think that if you want to live life on your own terms, social media marketing is probably the best vehicle to get there.
Yeah.
And then my second program, which is sort of higher level, it's sort of invite only. It's called Consult X, and that is where we help existing agency owners scale. So what I mentioned previously with the back end deals, the percentages of ad spend or revenue, etc., as well as the front end deals, we'll help existing agency owners structure that in such a way that you earn more per client, and that the bigger the client becomes, the more money you make as well.
Yeah.
Because, quick example, if you want to become a seven-figure agency, that
Mm-hmm.
is obviously $1 million a year, which means you need to earn on average 83,000 a month. If you just have that $1,000 retainer, you need 83 clients, which is a lot of clients to handle. But if you have back end deals in place where you also get a percentage of revenue, a percentage of or a percentage of ad spend, then you can actually quite quickly hit the seven-figure mark
Yeah.
with only a handful of clients. And of course, you'll still need around 20 clients, I'd recommend at the very least,
But
if you want to get those percentages, etc. But at least you don't need 83 clients. So
exactly.
that is what we focus on with Consult X. Lifestyle design is how to get started and how to get up to six figures. And
Mm-hmm.
in Consult X, we show you how to get those back-end deals in place so that you can hit seven figures, if that is what you want, of course.
That's great. And I'll have all the links down below. And you can check out Joshua on YouTube as well, just to get to know more about him. He's a lot of great content on his channel. I started off my channel looking at his channel, so you know how that happens. So Thank you so much, Joshua, for getting on the call, and I'll get all your social links down below.
Appreciate that, man.
And it's great to chat again.
Awesome, man. Thanks very much for having me. And yeah, man, I'll see anyone who comes over to my channel. Welcome, and yeah, I'll see you guys there.